Ryan Starks. And our chairman is Heidi Frank. She's at an airport meeting. She's excused, and I don't know what Portland is.
Minnesota.
He's in Minnesota. Oh, thanks.
I threw it too far, Tracy.
Oh, what's that?
My business cards.
Oh, okay, got it.
So what we'd like to do is just have Randy, when we get to it, give us an update of what we need to do, and so we don't make any mistakes, because we're still on track to get it on the ballot.
Great.
And just so you know, if we're recording this, so just talk a little louder, because it's a little bit further away. No, I'm just saying so that we can refer back to what you said when we're confused or one.
Steve to stop swearing. 'Cause we're
Okay.
Now you know better than that, Bishop.
I think technically I live in his ward, actually. Justin Keys? You do, yes.
Yeah, I'm right.
We've met before at the Halloween party. Yeah.
And my claim to fame is that Randy came and lectured at a public finance class that I took in my graduate program.
And he stayed in public finance.
And I stayed in it.
That's the.
But you failed in that class.
And you went a different direction, right? Well, and he's my daughter's favorite. I guess you were a teacher. That's what I would say, right?
Well, I was involved with that CAPS program, yeah. Yeah, I'm no longer kind of involved with the day-to-day stuff.
Randy was part of the legal team that helped us out in Jordan House area, that mess we have there.
I inherited that mess.
Well,
A lot of us did.
you got it out, got us out of it.
Good. Good.
Okay. Turn my phone off.
All right, well, maybe Randy, since you're here, we have some other things. I know I put some criteria together that we're going to go over, but in order to preserve your time, I think we ought to start with Randy, if that makes the most sense, right?
Definitely.
Well,
Do you have any way of pulling out the resolution we had the council pass?
yep. I looked at that. I don't have it in front of me. And it's fine. What it does do is, I think, gives you comfort to know that the council is already taken the action to put it on the ballot. What it does not do is follow the state statutes to actually get with the lieutenant governor and get it onto the statewide election. So the first resolution of the county would be a resolution calling an election. And the timing for that, we need to have that complete by August 7th.
Ooh.
Okay? The reason is that there's a 75-day notification requirement to the lieutenant governor for absentee ballots, overseas, military, things like that. And so we need to get that to the lieutenant governor by August 7th.
And what all does that need to include?
The best way to describe it is it needs to include, a lot of it will just already be in process for how the county's going, where it's going to hold polling places, and all those different functions. The part that is specific to the bonds is we needed to have the ballot language complete and finalized. We wouldn't be able to change it after that date. And state law requires that ballot language to have a tax impact on property owners.
So actually needs to say what the impact will be on the average residents or per member.
Yep.
Who determines that exactly?
The clerk, right? County clerk?
Work with the county clerk, county assessor. David Robertson at Lewis Young will help to calculate that. He'll help gather current values. He'll estimate the debt service on the bonds. It's all an estimate. I mean, we'll clearly state that, but it is a legislative requirement in an attempt, depending on your side of the fence, to make it more difficult to bond, to put the tax impact on there. What is frustrating is you have to put the tax impact on there as if you were issuing all, I heard 15 million or at one time. Then you can go on to describe, however, we plan to do things this way. So there's some strategy in your ballot language that I can help walk you through for doing that. But initially, we have to give the tax impact as if you issued $15 million of bonds on the day of the election at an estimated interest rate that David Robertson will help us do, and put that into the ballot language.
Okay.
We're gonna have to do that by the 25th of July.
July.
Because we need that for the website and the mailers and the
Yeah.
advertising and all that stuff too. And that was one of Wendy's questions. Is it Proposition A, or what's the name of it gonna be? What's the language gonna look like? All that stuff.
Right.
Before we can really get the website up and going, we need to have that, so.
Right, and for an open space bond, actually it's similar to all bonds, but you know, how someone describes open space could be very different depending on where you sit in the county or what your experience is. So part again of the strategy of the ballot language is the more broad the description, the freer hand you have in spending the bond proceeds. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
we know that,
we
yeah.
discussed that, yeah.
And then- and
So this
yet-
was our proposed text, but it sounds like it won't be, I mean, we'll need to modify it based on.
I can help you walk through that.
Yeah, that looks good.
I'm taking notes as well, so I can send them out.
I think that's pretty broad,
Yeah, that was
which is good.
the goal.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
Oh, no,
finish
you're good.
one thought, I'm sorry, was that,
Your time's more important than
no,
mine.
was that sometimes being too broad allows people against it
Sure.
to say, you could use it for this, or you could use it for
Right.
that, or somebody has a pet project for why they are in favor of it, whether it's the North Fields or whatever it may be. So there sometimes is a strategy. I always start with staying as broad as possible, and then, and let, you know, the strategist, which will probably mostly be you, to say, are there some specifics we still need in there to help people vote yes? Or to feel comfortable to vote yes, because they have some specificity. Does that make sense?
Is there a way to put the $15 million bond over 21 years, that language, and then below it say, but
Yes, however, our plan of
5
finance-
million to begin with, so,
Yes.
so that is the only amount that you will be bonded for moving forward. We're not bonding for all that, we're just bonding for
Right.
5 million to begin with. And then we
Yes.
have to get approvals from,
You're thinking exactly the right.
so that at least they see a real number if they vote yes. There's no guarantee we're gonna spend 15 million.
Right. Well,
Because if we don't perform,
Right,
we could only spend 5,
right.
or less than that, if we have trouble.
And here comes
So-
what branches off of that strategy. You're thinking exactly the right way. Yes, you have the statutory, you know, piece, and they almost want to do Paul Harvey, the rest of the story. We had to say this.
Right.
We don't intend to actually do that, so let me tell you what our current plan and what it may be. The seesaw that you do is the longer you get in your rest of the story in the ballot, the more
There-
difficult it can become, because you,
They're not gonna read it,
right.
yeah.
However, you also have the ability to also tell the rest of the story in what I was describing as your voter information pamphlet that will be specific to the bonds. It can be a longer trifold, both-sided, or something
Right.
similar, for telling more details about the plan of finance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I was hoping we could add just the 5 million.
I mean, something similar to what we did, right? We said authorize over the next 20 years to issue up to
Now,
$5 million.
Did I misunderstand you, Randy? I thought you said a bond on that could only go 10 years.
The authorization to issue bonds, the county would have, let's assume the election is successful and you get your up to $15 million. The county's authorization to issue up to $15 million will expire 10 years after the canvass date, which would be in 14 days after November's, when is the election?
No, is it, what's the?
Second
election?
Tuesday in November, but anyways.
So we'd have to go after that last 5 million in year 9.
That's what you have to strategize, that's what we were talking about before you came in.
So we've got to perform quicker than what we think
Or
we can.
lower the amount and go back later, because that would lower your tax impact. You know, you may say,
We
well,
don't need all
think we're going
that.
to get to 15 in 10 years, so maybe we drop our amount to make it a little more
Then we
balanced.
go to 10 million
Just a
in
thought.
10 years in $5 million increments.
It could still be 10 million over 20-year bonds.
Yeah, you still can do 20-year bonds.
Still 20-year bonds.
You could still issue
but-
in year 10 a 20-year bond. But if you didn't issue the bond within 10 years of the successful election, you would no longer be able to.
Is there any way to say 10 million for 10 years with the option for 5 more million after that?
There's not,
Okay.
unfortunately. State law just
10 years, that's it.
You can go to the voters to get your authorization, but whatever they tell you is only good for 10 years.
Okay.
There is a provision for tolling that 10 years if you had a lawsuit that prevented, someone challenges, we don't think you can spend your money on this space.
And then you're stuck
So
in.
because that can
court for
allow a
while.
contestant more power than they deserve, because they can tie you up in court. Well, as long as we get through the 10 years and you can't
Yeah.
do this. So
Yeah.
there was a statutory amendment that I would actually help for Salt Lake City to toll it. But that's the only way to get past 10 years is to.
That's just a Salt Lake City
No, it's good for
amendment?
everyone.
It's a state amendment?
It was, do you remember the soccer stadium stuff with Ray Al? And he was gonna put soccer fields out by the fairgrounds if Salt Lake City could come up with some matching funds. to
Devin
issue their
Anderson
bond.
or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And environmental group put in a lawsuit saying there wasn't sufficient wetland protections, et cetera. They didn't really expect to win, but their strategy was
Just to
to
kill time.
kill time to get past the 10 years.
Okay. Well, that's a thought. If we don't really think we can spend 15 million in 10 years, why go for it?
Yeah. And it would probably help us with the council if we backed off the 5.
Yeah, because I didn't know the
Numbers
10-year
look better.
rule, so,
Something to think about.
well,
Do you intend to use any of the bond proceeds? This is something Midway has considered, to opening up ability to use bond proceeds to operate and maintain potential open space pieces.
We would probably take a small amount of it for administration costs if we had to have it, like legal. But like I told you earlier, we don't plan on maintaining open space.
That would all be covered, because that would be capitalized kinds of expenses. That would be
Yeah.
part of obtaining your conservation easement or whatever that you would need. So I don't see a need to authorize that, but if
Do you see any need for,
I'm hoping we don't have a lot of
No.
overhead costs. I mean,
We
that's,
don't plan to
that's,
hold the conservation easements, which is where your maintenance cost comes in, but we
Yeah.
plan to use like Utah open lands to hold the conservation easements.
and they're,
And
know
that's,
what they're
and
doing.
that's all we plan to do.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I mean,
That's what
that does, it's probably cheaper than if we tried to reinvent the wheel and,
Definitely.
but I think if we can show more money going directly towards the preservation and not
We don't-
overhead costs.
We don't want to be tasked with policing conservation easements. That's
No,
a
we
big-
don't.
Better to get a third party.
Yeah, let me ask one question on the conservation easements. Under state law, the county can only bond for things that it has an ownership interest in. Now, don't read that too strictly. I mean, we can get creative, but I would assume that we could describe in some way fairness, right? I mean, having the conservation easement, even though you don't own
Sure.
that right, we should be able to have a declaration. I probably would just bootstrap into the resolution that the county makes a finding that the benefits of the conservation easement have value to the county to justify. Does that seem
Yeah,
fair to you?
Yeah, so
Can
that's what you
you,
would do. You know, reference the decreased cost to the county in providing, in obtaining these development rights, we decrease the cost to the county in providing basic
infrastructure
services,
and
infrastructure, et cetera.
services for that
Preserve strip of the
development?
land, that sort of thing. I think.
Yeah, because it certainly doesn't say in the act that you have to have a fee simple or a leasehold. It doesn't say
Right.
anything like that. It just says an ownership interest, and we're pretty good at being flexible. I just would hate to stretch the boundaries of reality too much. To me, that's what I thought we would do.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Can you tie it to planning? Like, long-term planning
Oh, yeah.
of the county
General
in some
welfare.
way to?
I think our best bet would be tied to rural preservation of the county.
Mhm.
And
Environmental
Which is
objectives.
planning and not
Yeah,
allowing
yeah.
some development there or whatever. That's what I
Now,
would do.
originally, this Wasatch Open Land Board became a 501c. 501c3, was it? So that
Tax exempt.
we could actually own the property, or have an ownership interest.
I think that's what we'd want to just describe and make sure we got, yes, I think you can do that, but that's what I'm trying to stay ahead of, so there are county authorizations contemplated, so that we stay true to state law issues, that we have a sufficient interest to justify state law for using the county's bonding power, and then secondly, for tax exempt interest rates. And that's not a requirement, but it'll lessen the cost to the county. There's a little more strict analysis on ownership interest to justify tax exempt bonds. And that's probably something that, we can chew on. We don't have to have that done by necessarily the 25th, but we should be thinking about it.
25th.
We've talked
Is
about that a
the
bit,
meeting
just
you have?
exactly how we actually
July
structure the
25th is
board
your
I think it's
meeting.
going to be,
going forward and
I
what
mean,
we actually do, whether
we
or not
met
we're just making
we'll meet
recommendations
tomorrow,
to the county or if we're
and then
approving
the
it through
18th.
funds.
Be thinking about that, because we'll want to
I don't
make as
think we
good of
can
a
have it ready
case
by
as we
the-
could
by the 18th, and
to
then the
my
next one
tax
is August
strategy
1st, and that's
to
the
say
county
this is
fair. I don't know
truly
if
a
we can have a
county
meeting.
Yeah.
bond.
Yeah.
Do you need to have like a preliminary meeting in order to create the resolution for the second meeting? Is there a public hearing requirement or anything, or is it?
I don't think.
Before having the resolution?
No.
Just
Okay.
standard open meeting.
We're just a little concerned that the 25th is 2 weeks from tomorrow.
It is, it's tight. I mean, it won't be hard for me to get an initial draft out, but it'll require, I think, some back and forth to help tell this rest of the story and some strategy on tax impact and things that will mostly focus on the ballot language. And I think the county will be, they usually have a strict, we want things a week before. If we can get a form out, they'll probably give some little.
I would guess we could probably do it on August 1st instead of the 25th.
Is there a scheduled meeting on the 25th, or are you saying you're going to have to schedule a meeting
I
on the
think
25th?
this is a scheduled meeting because we missed the 4th.
Okay, so there's one tomorrow, and then there's the 25th, or there's the 18th?
18th
And the 25th?
and the 25th and August 1st.
August 1st
Well-
will work just fine.
Are any of those work meetings versus council meetings?
Yeah,
Does that
regular
matter?
meetings?
We'll have to talk about that tomorrow.
If you had
Tomorrow's a
work-
regular meeting, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
If you had a work session planned, we can convert that to a public component
Yeah.
of this.
So we could put it on the 18th then, because the 18th is probably a work meeting if tomorrow is the regular meeting.
Well, it's about giving Randy enough time to,
And you guys have enough time to
Finalize
finalize.
it.
I'm worried the 25th.
But the work meeting, they get to look it over, and they might even have more suggestions on what they'd rather see,
Unless we did it on the 25th.
if that's the work meeting.
Maybe you do the work session on the 25th and then come to that's a good.
Because they're gonna have
Just in case
suggestions,
they
so
have-
why get it all
That's a good
pretty
thought.
before the work meeting anyway?
That's a good
Yeah, so according to this, just online, it
Yeah,
shows the work meeting on the 18th, the regular meetings on the 25th and the 1st. So,
so we could schedule it for the 18th work meeting,
I could
maybe?
get something to you that preliminary.
Rough.
For them to
Yeah.
to chew on in the work session.
Yeah, this could change. That could change because planning has got a lot of stuff. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, what we classify as a work meeting.
Okay.
But we want to, if that's the case, we want something on the July work meeting
would be nice.